Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 41 of Cutscene Convos. This week we have got a character profile from the last member of the new Black Adam film, Cyclone. We're also going to be going through Andor episode 9, as well as the Netflix show Cyberpunk Edgerunners. We're going to have a little discussion about what James Gunn's DCEU might look like, as well as a big old chunk of Nerd News Network goodness for you, before rounding ourselves off with what would happen if Juggernaut and Rhino was to ever get into a scrap. But before all that, Horizontal Conor weekman.
My week's been good. What's happened since last week's episode? It's all been a bit of a blur, I'll be honest. This last week. So this last weekend, KCP played the Rocket League team, covered that, was working. Lots of early mornings, which was a bit rough, but they got second in the second regional, which...
Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it would have been nice to win it, because then they would have been 4 times back-to-back for their region.
That'd have been a bit rude as well, though.
Yeah, it would.
These other people have families.
There is other teams in Australia. It's not just Pioneers. But yeah, they got second, which is great. Puts them in a pretty solid position for hope. We should qualify for Rotterdam unless something goes terribly wrong in the last regional. But they're unlikely. So Rotterdam should be pretty much locked in.
Let's fucking go.
Other than that, been working. Got the you can't see, but I'm wearing that Pioneers hoodie that I got. The new merch.
I'm so jealous.
So comfy.
It's wild because I'm essentially KCP at this point, and yet I don't get anything.
It's because I work my ass off.
It's such a nice collection. Was it Ravens who's done that?
Yep, we work with Raven GG.
They are so good. I have no affiliation to Raven.gg whatsoever. Holy shit, their stuff is so good.
Oh yeah, always has. Like when those early London Royal Raven stuff that we all like.
Mate, that original fan stuff, the fan jersey, which I'm pretty sure I've worn it for a couple of episodes of the podcast, and that OG hoodie, so elite.
Yeah, that stuff.
Love them to pieces.
Real good quality. So yeah, that capsule's out. Super nice. Other than that, it's just kind of been bits of work. Work's not been too busy. Just kind of like small little projects here and there. Nothing crazy.
Well, I guess because a lot of the seasons have kind of kicked off now.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of at that point where you don't have any big announcement things that are being done because it's going to be a little bit of dip in that stupid large stuff because it's just going to be the day to day. We've got a game here, we've got a game there.
Yeah. Probably the next big project is going to be with Rotterdam coming up and all the promo around that. But yeah, pretty chill week. Actually played a decent amount of Valorant. Because obviously I haven't.
For the invite.
I thought you were all playing COD.
I am going to be honest with you. I've played 4 games of Modern Warfare.
Oh,
I have been degenning on FIFA because apparently I'm 13 again.
See, I presumed you were all playing COD, I'll be honest. So,
nah, I played 4 games, and one of them was a 1v1 against Tom.
Yeah, that's been my week. How's your week been?
Long, busy, exhausting. The days are disappearing from my very eyes. So Saturday just gone, I got my tattoo finished finally.
Oh yeah,
you see the colours there, very bright.
Sick.
Oh, I'm so happy with it. So that was Saturday. Not a clue what I did Sunday. Literally zero idea. The day disappeared. Can't remember. Couldn't tell you a single thing I did. I finished Champs. So I decided I wasn't going to stream FIFA after playing sporadically on the Saturday. Because I just didn't have time to sit down and play for 4 hours straight on Saturday. So it was an hour here, an hour there. And I was just getting so infuriated and saying things that out of context would 100% come back to bite me in the arse. Nothing racist or anything like that. It's just them things that if I was like in a voice chat with the person I was playing, I would never say.
I get
Just
you.
just calling them little virgins and neeks and stuff like that.
Zero filter. I get you.
Yeah, 100%. I was like, I have to get this in check, otherwise I'll never be able to play champs on the stream. FIFA brings out the very worst in me. I'm ready to admit that. But this week has just been hectic. It feels like every hour's moving at 2 times speed, but the day as a whole is moving at half speed. And as a result of that, the day feels about 60 minutes long. In like time where I can get stuff done.
I feel that.
So yeah, that's fun. And then Monday coming is my grandfather's funeral, which is obviously a very exciting thing to try and mentally prepare for. But it's Friday tomorrow. I'm off all of next week, and hopefully I can just recharge a little bit and
get a bit of a break in.
Yeah. Now that's all done.
Yeah, caught
up. So the last couple of weeks we've been doing Black Adam character profiles because, as I've been saying, the JSA has a lot of unknown characters who got put in the spotlight for the Black Adam film.
They did.
Which is very good for me because it gives me lots of very easy character profiles. And this is the last one from that film, so back to actually having to use my brain from next week. Pain. Cyclone. More importantly, who is Cyclone?
That's a good question.
Cyclone, aka Maxine Hunkel. She first appeared in the Justice Society of America, Volume 3, Number 1, in February of 2007.
Okay.
She's the granddaughter of the original Red Tornado, and as a result, she grew up around heroes and idolized heroes.
Right.
When she was young, she was kidnapped by the creator of the second Red Tornado, which was a super powerful android, who did become a hero. And this crazy doctor injected her with nanobots based on the Red Tornado's technology, which is alluded to in the film.
Right, okay.
But her powers didn't manifest straight away. So she kind of just moved on with her life after that very traumatic experience.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time she's 19, she's just like a very bubbly and intelligent girl. She's attending uni. She's top of her classes. But she's known for just talk. Like, motor mouth is used a number of times to describe her. And as a result of that, she's a little bit of an outcast, but she just kind of goes on being this happy-go-lucky person. And this is at the point her powers start to manifest. So she like sneezes and fucking blows her grandparents' garage away. She wakes up one morning floating 5 foot above her bed in a little tornado. Stuff like that. Yeah. And around about this time, the JSA had decided it needed to open its doors to this new generation of heroes so that they could be trained and brought in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, she was ecstatic about because she's always wanted to be a superhero. And her enthusiasm almost got her uninvited because she was just a bit much. But she went absolute fangirl mode, but they appreciated that she was too powerful and too good to not be given a fair chance just because she was a bit excitable.
Right.
And as of now, she's just living her dream as a superhero. It's interesting though, because her only power is aerokinesis, or being able to control the air.
Right, okay.
But as a result of this, it's what she can do with that. So because of that, she can fly, she can create tornadoes, she can obviously use wind to like redirect bullets or anything coming at her, as well as also using the air to send people flying.
Yep.
But an interesting character. I really enjoyed her in Black Adam.
Yes,
and if we see more of her, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff there that could be played with.
Yeah, I thought she was played well in Black Adam. Was an interesting character. Super cool power set as well.
They gave us enough to be interested in her, but not so much she was going to take away from Dwayne Johnson.
Well, yeah.
Which is fine for someone who's not the title character.
Exactly.
But this brings us on to Andor episode 9.
I feel like we say this every week.
Mate, this show is so fucking good.
It really is. It's like, it's so funny.
I finished this show like an hour ago.
Oh, okay.
This week's episode.
Me and Luke watched, I think Luke watched yesterday as well, but
yeah,
I watched it yesterday, and it's funny because it's like our little Star Wars chat is like every week it's just like Andor time, then it's like an hour or so later it's like another banger.
Yeah.
Just great show. And honestly, this week,
bro, it's so good. It's outrageously good. And I know somehow, and this is what baffles me the most, this proves that Star Wars fans are never going to be happy. There are people on the internet who still don't like this show.
Yeah, I don't get it.
This is actually been really good for me personally, because I can just sit here now and go, okay, you know what, Connor, no matter what, some people are always going to hate it.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually finally been like enough with like something this obviously good. It's been enough for me to finally be able to go, okay, they aren't being nitpicky or weird. People just don't like everything, no matter how good it actually is. That's fine. So shout out to them people for finally giving me perspective. But this show it doesn't miss. Time and time again.
I feel like, and it's like it's getting more like the storyline's getting deeper and deeper, and like they're really dialing in this like gritty street level thing that we keep banging on about, but like having Star Wars at this level and like the Empire at this position is like so fun to watch and see it just like unfold.
Also, thoughts on making Andy Serkis actor of the generation?
Yeah.
Should we go through some of his accomplishments here? Where's
Do you know what's funny is like this is, I think, the first actor that's got to play a second role in the Star Wars universe, because obviously he voiced Snoke.
Yeah, and did the mocap.
Oh yeah, but like he's playing it so well in this.
Seafull Bio. I'm on his IMDb. Let's just go through. There's definitely going to be something in here that I didn't even know who.
Probably.
How do I just see his list of credits? Oh, come on. There's got to be an easy way. Other works? Is that what it comes under? No? Okay. That doesn't just want to be nice and easy for me. Bear with. Is Wikipedia going to do me good? Wikipedia is normally really good at just giving a list and letting you know what the person's in.
Yeah, it usually is.
Career. So what have we got? He was obviously in Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Where he played Sméagol and Gollum.
Yes. Excellent.
He has written a bunch of things. He played Bill Sykes in the goated ITV adaptation of Oliver Twist. Which I'd forgotten about until just now. Yeah. He was Caesar in the most recent Planet of the Apes trilogy.
Oh yeah.
Which again, phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
He was obviously Ulysses Claw in the MCU.
Yep, he was.
Again, which he did phenomenally well. He was Snoke. He directed the Venom films. He was Alfred in Batman earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
This guy doesn't miss.
No, he really doesn't.
And I think that's the only way I can put it.
And honestly, when we first, because it was last week when we first got first look at him, and it's like as soon as that in the back of my head, I was like, okay, then this series is definitely going to keep just getting better, because if he's involved,
I think he's got this weird ability where he looks at a script and he knows like how strong the script is and will only take it if he thinks it's a really strong one. And as a result of that, his superior acting abilities allows him to just pump out banger after banger.
Yeah, it really does.
And he's clearly a very professional and easy guy to work with when he keeps on getting given these opportunities at the biggest pinnacle.
Yeah.
Like, when you think about how many of his main roles have been like mocap roles.
Well, yeah, he's king of mocap.
yeah, if he's like difficult to work with, you're just getting someone else.
Yeah, it's like he's definitely now known as like if you want the best actor for like mocap and voicing, you just go to him.
Oh yeah, it's so much fun watching videos of him, like like the videos of when they're filming the mocap, and like you look at him and you're like, you know what? They could have got away with just having him do that as the film.
Yeah.
Because it's that believable. Even with the stupid fucking suit on they have to wear, I'm not finding they're going, this is ridiculous. I'm still going, wow, what a performance.
You're like, oh, that's Gollum. I'm looking at Gollum.
Exactly.
No, yeah.
Absolute
100%.
goat.
So yeah,
and once again, he has delivered in Andor.
He has. And we really got to kind of see more of his character in this episode. Even so, I feel like loads happened in this episode. I'm loving that these are like an hour, they're like 50 minutes with credits, whatever, but like, the episode length's great. But we got insight in the fucking Imperial Bureau of Intelligence, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We got more insight in the whole Mothman.
Yeah, well, we found out that Mon and the lady who was leading the attack are sisters.
Yes.
Which is fucking wild.
Yeah, when they were like, oh, Auntie's coming, and then I was like, oh, this is another person.
When she got in the car and her driver was like, oh, your sister's arrived, I was like, oh, who's her sister going to be?
Yeah.
Another new character? How exciting. And then we get there and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. And I mean, it just like links it all, like why they're all connected. Yeah. Yeah. And we also got to like see a bit more of like her being in the Senate and people just like switching their lights off, whatever, when they stop paying attention, and like just how much she's trying to fight this like uphill political battle.
Imagine how savage that would be. Though. Imagine we just sat here recording the podcast and there's just little lights going off as people fucking lose interest. That'd be so. I mean, I guess that's like streaming when you just see the number go down, but still.
Yeah, it's like if you ever watch like the House of Commons and you see them just get up and leave mid, like when someone's mid doing a
so rough.
It's just like, but yeah, we got to see some more on that and the fact that like who her sister is, and this kind of struggle that she's having now as well with the money. She's in over her head with this situation.
Might be the only time I felt sorry for a politician not having enough money.
Yeah, having to make 400,000 or whatever reappear on a book is not.
What is a Star Wars credit to pound conversion? There's got to be some like funny.
Who knows?
Star Wars credit to G. Oh my god!
Does it actually exist? Is it just 1 for 1?
It autoed it for me, but unfortunately, it didn't tell me.
I don't know if there is an actual.
That'd have been really funny though. Disney, get on that. That'd be funny.
But
give people context. I always assume it is a 1-to-1 thing, just because that makes context easier. But who knows?
There was also like that interaction with when they were all around the meal table, and her husband was kind of like making little sly digs towards the sister, and the sister just didn't give a shit. And I was like, he really, like, the husband's really kind of a dick.
The husband, no, kind of. The husband is a huge dick. He is 100% in with the Empire. Yeah, he might not agree with everything the Empire does, but he's like, hey, I'm living good.
Yeah, he's just like that upper class sort of.
Yeah, he's that upper class guy. He's like, hey, but they're not hurting me, so they're good. They've got to be good. Why would I vote for? Why would I want to get rid of them when they're not hurting me?
But yeah, that was funny. And then obviously we got to see her with her old friend talking about this money and the fact that I honestly think that's gonna lead to the reason why she ends up out of the Senate and like away from all this.
Why she goes full-time rebellion?
Yeah, she is basically it must get to a point where like she basically has to go on the run or something.
Question.
Go on.
Do you think we see Leia at any point in this show?
Yes, I think we do. Not this season.
No, I think it'll be like the last season.
So I don't know if you've was he?
You sent me the TikTok.
No, well, I don't know if I sent. Was it my friend sent me one? So basically, it's Luke sent me a TikTok.
Oh, it was Luke who sent it to me.
Yes,
Yeah.
where
No,
they were
you're 100%
discussing
right.
about the fact that season 1 is the first year of the 5. So this is set 5 years before Rogue One. This season is year 1. So that guarantees we're having 4 more seasons.
See, that's not how I interpreted it, because he kind of said, and like then we'll go through the other years, but he didn't want to go into any more detail on that. I think we might only get 2 more seasons and do 2 years a season, just because a lot of the groundwork has to be laid in this one.
True.
And they don't want to fall into the Rings of Power trap of trying to cover a decent span of time, but try and have every episode have something happen.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd love it if they did do 4 seasons.
Oh, I'm here. I'm here for it.
But yeah, so we've got. I think we will see Leia down the line.
That'd be very, very cool.
I think and they'll do something similar to, like they'll use tech to whatever to make it.
Because you got to remember, we saw Leia at the end of Rogue One.
Well, yeah. So there's gonna be some brief. Do you know what I'd love is if they end this with that. How they ended Rogue One with literally the opening scene of.
I'll end this show with the opening scene of Rogue
One, and
that'd be very cool.
Really connect it right up until the point.
Give no room for some dickhead to come in 5 years' time and try and squeeze more shit in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so that was all like the Mon Mothman stuff, which we only briefly that wasn't the majority of this episode. The majority of this episode was kind of
Prison Break, baby.
Well, Prison Break and inside the fucking Imperial Bureau. Like they're on the trail now.
Can we talk about how fucked up their torture method on Biggs was?
Oh, yeah.
These motherfuckers committed a genocide, recorded the audio, realised the audio was deeply upsetting, and went, what happens if we make this more upsetting in a controlled way? These motherfuckers are too lazy to even properly torture people.
It's psychological torture. Yeah, this is... Do you know what's funny, though? When he pulls out the headset, I was like, can I tell what headphones they are on the prop? But yeah, the torture mode was fucked up. And
it was how descriptive while grinning it was. It was like, wow, the Empire just fully... They send out a bunch of exams when you turn 12 to work out if you're a sociopath.
Yeah.
And if yes, they give you an officer status.
Oh yeah, why can't I think of her name now? But the officer woman, she's a fucking psycho.
Yeah. At first I thought she was just kind of like I'm doing my job kind of thing.
A bit like overdriven, like trying to climb to the top quicker than everyone else. But this
is the world we live in. I'm just trying to be successful in it. But no, she fully is fucked.
Yeah, she's fully wants to just be in charge and like power fucking hungry. So yeah, that whole like torture scene with Bix and how like she was being like, let's make this easy. Let's not have to go to this. But then obviously already knowing that was never going to happen and just playing the whole situation. And then when they had the meeting and they asked about what about the mother, and she's like, oh, well, the mother's old and frail, so we'll actually just use her as bait, knowing full well that like we won't get anything useful out of her if we torture her. So
it's just it's like sickening, but like in a really, you find yourself going, wow, this show is so good because of how believably sickening it all is.
Well, yeah, it's like it really. Like what she's doing, it's really actually we're getting like first-hand look at like how in control the Empire was.
Do you know what I think's caused this though? Don't get me wrong, obviously everyone always knew the Empire was the bad guys. But then Clone Wars came along and added more nuance to everything.
Yeah.
And that kind of had everyone going, well, the Republic wasn't exactly great, was it?
No.
So as a result of that, they were like, okay, in our future shows set during this bit, we need to show just how, like, yes, Republic wasn't perfect. Empire very bad though.
Yeah. And I think also, like, as well as that, it's like whenever we have seen stuff with the Empire in the films, let's be honest, it's always the rebels winning. Eventually the rebels are winning and destroying stuff. So it's like we've not really seen it where the Empire is like the one in control, like being the
Exactly
absolute just powerhouse that it is. Yeah, so that's, but do you know who's more psycho than the officer woman? Khan, or whatever is
serial killer, dude.
Bro,
I dubbed him serial killer looking head off all the way back in like the first episode.
You did.
Now he's stalking the psycho bitch. He made psycho bitch feel uncomfortable. He's that creepy.
I was like, bro, you need to back off. You're like, you're gonna get yourself arrested. Do you know what would be wild? Is if he does it again or something. She arrests
prison with Cassian.
Yeah. If he just rocks up in the prison with Cassian.
Here's the problem. He's such a brown noser. He would alert them to that's where Cassian is.
Oh, yeah, he would. But no one in the prison would give a shit.
Can we sorry, this jumping all over the place, but we decided we weren't. We just talk about things now. Yeah. Can we talk about how badass the line at the very end is when Andy Serkis characters realizes how fucked they really are, and then Cassian asks him again how many guards are on each floor, and he's just like never more than 12, and I'm like,
yeah. So that we got such a good in one episode they completely developed the stance of everybody in that prison, and obviously we've jumped a little bit because it was
Cassian's
a month
kind of established.
I think it was 30 days it said. So it's a month on. He's got into the groove of things. And
he noticed last episode that people were clearly communicating and working something out. And he's clearly got himself established with them guys as we're going to break out of this place.
Well, yeah, and it's also we learned that everyone's paying attention to the sign. Everyone's okay with the whole sign language thing because they use it as a way to find out what's going on other floors. And it's always just been... It's just their way of communication within the prison.
And because the Empire's so efficient and thinks they're so damn untouchable, they don't monitor what the inmates are doing.
Yeah, they don't care. So yeah,
which is a beautiful way to show their downfall. It's like the Empire was so efficient they forgot about the power of human spirit, and that's a beautiful stance to take.
So yeah, we got the whole Cassian was quite clearly paying attention and wanted.
Sorry. I made a fuck up. I've just refreshed Twitter.
Oh.
AMD's announced prices.
Oh.
Their big boy is only $1,000.
That's cheaper than Nvidia.
A fair fucking whack cheaper. So let's hope that their third-party testing proves dividends here, and then Nvidia can be told to sit down and shut up. Sorry, continue. That fully distracted my brain, wasn't allowing me to concentrate.
It's fine. So yeah, we got the whole Cassian and being wanting to try and figure out how to break out, and asking Andy Serkis how many guards are in. He's like, drop it, do your time. None of that shit happens in here. We all stay in line. We all stay alive. That's doing his role that he's meant to be doing, which is keeping everyone in check, because he doesn't want to risk himself more than anything.
He's been indoctrinated into believing that once you've done your time, you'll be free to go.
Well, yeah, that's what they all think. And then we get the old man of the group starts struggling. And that as soon as he started struggling, I was like, something's going to go wrong here with him. I was like, is he going to cost them and they're going to get zapped and he's going to die from that? I was like, he's on his way out. Something's going to happen.
An old person in Star Wars shows being a little bit under the weather never ends well.
No, especially when you're being worked to the bone in a production line. So I like how Cassian as well is already kind of put himself into a leadership, pushed himself a bit more of a leader in that group. He's only been there a month.
He's a very natural leader, which explains how he's got to where he got so quickly.
Well, yeah. I thought it was funny how they note like their immediate notice of like the old guy was something was going wrong, so they all were like, well, pick him up and cover him up so no one sees. And Andy Serkis's character like spots that that's gone on, but then we obviously get the whole they're carrying him out. Everyone's freaking out because apparently, there was also the whole like the communication from the prisons, like when they were in their cells and there was like when they were in the corridor waiting for longer than normal and it flashed like the power went out. I saw that, I was like, that's odd. That's almost like the power's gone out. Are they being attacked? Is someone trying to knock things off?
I don't know why, because I knew it wasn't going to happen. I just expected to hear a and just see a lightsaber ignite. I've been so trained by Star Wars media that when a light goes out, a lightsaber gets lit up.
Yeah. So I thought we got all that interaction, and that's where the whole like trying to find out the gods. But then when we're back in there again, they're coming off the shift, and obviously call for a medic. Medic comes. Medic's like, can't save him. My job's done. I don't want to get in trouble, so tough. We've got to inject him and put him out of his misery. But then the realization, talking that the rumors that a whole floor got zapped was true, and it was because they fucked up and put someone who just finished back into the same floor. Which starts such a, like, obviously then shows that basically what they've been doing is you get out, you get shifted to another floor, and you go again. And for the most part, people don't notice because you can't see on the other side of the prison 5 floors down who's in the corridor, so you don't know. So yeah, they fucked up. Typical clerical error. And then they've had to zap a whole floor. They think
they're untouchable, so they got.
Yeah, they got caught out. Human error, whatever they did, zapped the whole floor, and then that rumour's now travelled through everywhere.
And they've also made it so the one person who was stopping Cassian from like being able to genuinely get a plan together is now on Cassian's side.
Well, yeah, because it's like, say you're in Andy Serkis's character's position, you're like, I have X amount of days left. I'm just gonna stick to the book, keep everyone, like, do my job and keep my head down because that's the best way for me to get out of here alive and end my sentence.
Which is fair.
Which is very much fair. And then it's like, but then in a split second,
you find out it's all a lie.
That perception is just shattered, and you're just like, oh, fuck it then.
And you've also got to consider, we saw what Cassian got arrested for, which was nothing, and he got given 6 years for that. Imagine what some of these other guys did. That was like, and they've just been wound up in prison.
Yep. So.
And like we found out last episode, didn't we, that everyone's jail time just got doubled.
Yeah, it did. So they're all in there longer than they were originally, all thinking, oh, well, now I'm really going to make sure I don't want to do anything to extend my sentence more.
But the number means nothing.
Yeah, the number's an illusion. That's why they show them the number, to give them...
Because it's not actually there.
It keeps them thinking, okay, we are going to get out eventually, but actually, no, it doesn't exist. So yeah, that whole thing when they're walking along and then he goes, no more than 12, and like you see like in his eyes that his whole position on this has flipped. Cassian seems to already have an idea. They're going to use the lift somehow, and it's like halfway. Or when it comes down, they're going to jump on, stop it halfway. So
anything that moves doesn't conduct
isn't live.
Electric. If they all get on that, they'll be safe.
There's going to be a lot of people get zapped and die though, whenever this prison break happens. But I think that's going to be what the finale, like towards the last 2 episodes. I think this season's going to end with the prison break and them getting out and meeting up with our artifact buddy, I can't think of his name, Luthen.
Yeah.
I think that's how it's going to end, is the prison break. And then what else went down this episode? I'm trying to remember.
The lady with all the information pieced together that Cassian had something to do with the raid on Aldani.
Yes, that was. So they're starting to piece it together and get it like really figure out what the fuck's going on. So we've only got three episodes left.
I think something like that.
Yeah.
Because they said they got a rebel pilot, didn't they? And they got information out of him about another hit that was or a attack that was being planned, and they were trying to work out how to deal with that.
Yeah, that was another thing that kind of like lent into the Empire, was kind of like big bad guys, because they were just like, they knew how quick they needed to, and they were like, oh, we'll just frame it like it was an accident so that it gets picked up, and in such a way that they knew how to frame stuff so that it wouldn't look suspicious on them. And then you just start to think, how many other things have they done to that nature? They've just like, people don't realize, like, the smoke and mirrors that the Empire is really doing some bad shit.
In this episode, we found out the Empire is not releasing people after they've completed their prison sentence.
Yeah.
They committed genocides and then recorded them for torture purposes.
Yeah.
They know how to fake crashes to make sure information doesn't get leaked. And, like, most governments can probably do that, to be fair.
Yeah.
And it's just like all these little bits, and all of a sudden, that nuance from the Clone Wars of, the Republic's not perfect, doesn't make you go, okay, so maybe the Empire wasn't all bad then. It makes you go, oh, wow, the Empire was really fucking bad.
Yep. It's like, Republic wasn't great, and yes, the Jedis were just doing the will kind of the council, but in fact, they were. Everything was kind of keeping itself somewhat in check.
Yeah, and with the right people at the helm, the Republic could have been made in something genuinely good. The biggest problem was Palpatine's influence on it in them last days, sending it the wrong way down the spiral.
Yeah. So we've got 3 episodes left.
I believe so, yeah. I'm really excited to see what we get out of this show.
We're obviously going to get Prison Break. I wonder if Luthen's going to hear about Bix and do something to try and help her.
Maybe. I've got a feeling Bix dies, because we don't see her in Rogue One. And that would be the perfect way to motivate Cassian.
Oh, yeah, it would.
But right. For all we know, Cassian breaking out of prison might be enough motivation for him to go, okay, the Empire's got to come down.
True. But don't forget, Luthen, he sent the 2 girls, didn't he, to Ferrix, and the sister came back, and Connor's camera's frozen. Oh.
We good?
Yeah, you're good now. Yeah, you're moving. Okay. So, obviously, the sister went back to Coruscant.
Yeah.
Left the other one. So there is one of them there that will know that Bix got picked up. Whether she's managed to relay that information out yet. Yeah, the Prison Break is going to be so much fun to watch.
So I think next week is going to be full on Prison Break plan, and the end of the episode will be like them launching their escape. Episode after that will be like the escape and trying to get away to safety.
Mm-hmm.
Then the last episode in the season will be a big battle off, Cassian deciding he 100% wants to be a rebel.
Yeah, Luthen, basically him finally agreeing to join Luthen.
Yeah. And someone dying, and a tease for what like the next part of the plan is.
Yeah.
Obviously there'll be more to it than that, but as broad strokes, that's my guess.
What if the Prison Break is
that's a different show.
What if during the Prison Break a K2 unit is damaged?
When did they not like save K2 during Rogue One though.
No, he was there from the beginning. Cassian saved him at some point. I don't think he said. I don't know if he said specifically when in Rogue One. He might have done. I can't remember. I'm just waiting because it's gotta happen at some point. Which means they'll bring back K2. Like we'll get more K2 at some point.
K2, the one we know, isn't going to be an Andor.
At all.
At least in season 1.
Well, okay. They might come later down the line then.
Yeah, that could be a nice, fun thing.
I'm wondering if his mum dies.
100%. Maybe not yet, but she will.
And then he'll get the little B2 emo.
Okay, so I'm just reading an article. Their reasoning for K2 not showing up is being an Imperial droid. It's very difficult to have him wandering around with the characters, like logically.
Yeah.
So it has to wait until a little bit later to even have a chance of that being possible. Because right now, if he breaks out with a K2 unit by his side, like K2's then kind of exposed for the next 4 seasons as an Imperial droid, but it doesn't like storytelling. You kind of have people going, "Why is there an Imperial droid there?"
Yeah, no, I get that.
Which does make sense.
But yeah, Andor's great. They're killing it, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
But up next we have quite possibly the only show this year that I prefer more than Andor.
I've been waiting so long.
Mate, this show is something fucking else.
Do you know why I mentioned it now? And was like, you need to watch it?
See, the thing is, I watched the first episode and I was like, okay, I can get into this, but there was just so much going on. I was like, I'm just going to have to get through it as and when I can.
How sad are you feeling?
Mate, I'm barely over it. So we're talking about the Netflix anime set in the Cyberpunk 2077 universe, Edgerunners.
It's emotional damage, isn't it?
Mate, this universe... I'm a huge nerd for well-built-out universes. I love the Marvel universe, the DC universe, Star Wars universe, the Doctor Who universe.
Mm-hmm.
Also, by the way, do you like Doctor Who?
I haven't really watched it since David Tennant.
Okay, well, what we'll do is we'll quietly watch it when it relaunches, like late next year, and if we're both enjoying it, maybe it gets added to the roster of shows.
Okay.
Because they've got a big old contract with Disney Plus.
Yeah, I saw that.
Big budget Doctor Who could be fun. But yeah, it's I am a absolute sucker for well built out universes. This Cyberpunk universe is quickly becoming one of my favorites.
Do you know it's how many episodes is this Edgerunners? I forget now.
10.
Okay. I don't think I have ever got so attached to a set of characters in 10 episodes as I have with
10
Edgerunners.
20-minute episodes.
Like how they managed to get me so emotionally attached to a set of characters in such a short period of time is baffling. Honestly baffling. Like 2 hours of content and I'm broken from the end of this season. And if you haven't seen Edgerunners, I implore you to stop listening right now, skip past this part and watch it without the spoilers, because the art style, the fact that the writers and the artists really spent time going into the game and working with CD Projekt Red to actually like take real locations in the game that hadn't been used in the game story, and they were just like world building places, like places that CD Projekt Red had just been fleshing out the city. There's a lot in the game where, as with any open world, like it's just kind of filler visual, no like
it made
actual
it
story
feel so
tied.
connected.
Yeah, but because they went in and found those places that didn't have any pre-story tied to it, they could use them. They made the effort of doing that, really just like tied it into the world.
And we also got the fun cameos. We got to see Rogue.
Yeah.
At the Afterlife. We got to see the Afterlife.
Yeah.
I I'm enamored with the entire universe. The art style is phenomenal. The characters are unique and different. It is a heartbreaking story that emphasizes this world. And the beauty of it is, if you've played the game or even aware of the story of the game, you always know these kind of lives in this show are being lived based on everything going on. And it just feels like another one of these stories. Nothing that special.
Well,
but everyone wants to be that special.
Yeah, it's if you played the game and like played through as V, it's like this idea that you're the new kind of hot person in Night City, but you're like anyone that has like is at the top. It's a short time at the top because it's Night City and nothing good happens in Night City.
And everyone has this kind of raging hard on for dying a cool death.
Well, yeah, everyone's that's been brought up in the slums of Night City know they're probably gonna have a short life, so they want to go out on a high and be remembered. And it's like, do you know what's funny? It's like playing the game, having that understanding of Night City, nothing ever good happens. We know how the game ended. Like, I still was blindsided and didn't. I was like, oh, these characters are gonna have we're gonna have a great story from these. But no, nobody has a good time in Night City. The way that like they get you connected to the group and then slowly, one by one, pick them off.
And I love the way they like deal with cyberpsychosis and stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that cyberpsychosis is a real problem, yet everyone's out there getting chrome.
Everyone thinks they have a tolerance for it.
And it's crazy because they're joking about it the entire time. As David's getting upgrades, they're like, you're going to go crazy, boy. No one gives a fuck, though. No one gives a fuck.
So, yeah, this was like, I think it's around episode 4 or something when, I'm trying to remember all the characters' names now. When Maine, the big guy, ends up going cyberpsychosis.
That's later. That's episode 6.
Oh, okay. Yes, like episode 6, whatever. And then the next episode after that or something, David's like jacked,
yoked.
I immediately went,
oh no!
Oh no! This,
yeah,
I was like,
I'm pretty sure that's when I said to you, Hori, I'm not liking
scared.
where this looks like it's going.
Yeah, I was like, he's got chromed up. This isn't. I was like, this is gonna go wrong. This is.
And here's the thing. We shouldn't have been surprised because literally when he's getting it installed, Loripadoc says to him, "This is gonna fry you, boy." Literally says it to him. You're not special. Everyone gets got eventually, and this is a serious piece of hardware.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, when he gets the Sun Devasine first, and he's just like, somehow he's pulling that off, and then that's the problem, and it's like that's why it's so well written, is because they have this character who gets this fucking military grade tech, and then everyone's blown away that he can fucking handle it so well. So then you essentially just like the character, you see that the character gets this like inflated ego that they're.
You remember he's 15.
High tolerance. Oh yeah. Imagine being juiced up on military tech at 15. Yeah.
And I don't even think like by the end of it when he's a bit more jacked, it's like that. I think it's like 6 months at most. I don't think he's like much older.
No, he's not. I don't. Maybe like a year or something.
Yeah, but like not a lot older at all. Most he is by the end is 16.
Yeah, like 16, something. Like he's it's written so well because like you fully understand like why he would keep chroming up, because everyone's like gone on about like how he's got this high tolerance, so and obviously he's gonna think he's got high tolerance. But then as the viewer, you're like, we know you are going to go cyberpsychosis.
And you're sitting there and you're watching it and you're going, okay, he shouldn't do this, but there are no other options.
No. And then, but it's like
he's in a position where
at every point you're like, someone's gonna stop him, right? Like surely someone's gonna get him to turn around and realize like he needs to stop. But no. It's just keeps going. Also, can we talk about the fact that in less than 10 episodes, because it was only in the last few, Adam Smasher is a fuck ton scarier in this than he ever was in the game.
Yeah. they are so good.
Like, if
I mean,
this,
he's such a kick-ass character.
yeah,
But
and
the
it's
way
like,
they've done him in this show is so fucking good.
like, if that had been, like, if they'd managed to like get that across in the game, that would have made the game like even like the storyline would have been so much better. But yeah, like
it's just when he's wailing on him, he's like, "You are not special." I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
well, I'm sure you're in the same boat as me of Rebecca deserved better.
Rebecca absolutely deserved better.
That honestly was probably the most painful death out of all of the characters. Because you're like at the end of it, and it's like, okay,
it's
so
a blind side as well.
Yeah, it's just like you think, oh, Rebecca's gonna get out with oh, I can't think of the guy's name, the driver.
Yeah.
Who is voiced by Matthew Mercer.
Yes.
I don't know if you know who that is.
I do know who Matthew Mercer is. Yeah.
But you're like, oh, okay, they're gonna be like the last two of the group, and obviously Lucy, and then Adam Smash come down and Rebecca just starts shooting up and it's just splat instantly. Like there's just no like
yeah.
And you're just like, oh shit, no, this is all going wrong.
This is the only thing that I'm going to grow to struggle with the Cyberpunk universe. They do not give a fuck about the characters they write. And I don't mean that in the sense of they write the characters without care. I mean,
no one's got
at any time they will red wedding your ass.
Yep, they really will.
Any given second. If we get a season 2 of Edgerunners, they're going to be sat there having a coffee, and I'm going like, this scene has gone on for 5 seconds too long. Something's about to go wrong.
Yeah, literally. And honestly, like the final scene where like Lucy goes to the moon, it's just the emotional damage, man. That song, you don't understand how many times I've listened to I Really Want to Stay at Your House on repeat. Like that song, it comes up on my TikTok feed and it just insta in the feels.
Do you know what the thing is though? This show just beat the shit out of your emotions from start to end. Because in the first episode, his lovely mother dies.
Yeah. And he's like trying to come to terms with that and figure shit out. Yeah, no, it honestly was like the writing in this show. And like, I 100% believe it was a strong reason this show was able to be written so well and done so well was because of how deep of a world CD Projekt Red had built.
Yeah,
and
the
like,
issues with Cyberpunk 2077 weren't the storytelling or the universe. No. It was they tried to rush at the very end.
Yeah, it was just gameplay.
Which is a mistake they will not make again.
Nope.
And because of how good this show was, Cyberpunk overtook The Witcher's 3 all-time record for concurrent players.
Yeah, there's like
this show has done so much to rehabilitate Cyberpunk 2077. You had a bunch of people go, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to finally play it, or I'm going to go back and play more of it, whatever. And they've done it, and they've gone, holy shit, this game's like really good now. And then a person who hasn't watched the show but wanted the game and then didn't get it because of all the bugs has heard from 3 different friends, oh, the game's genuinely great now. And they go, out fucking time, let's go.
And it's also it's just like, I feel like the show, like CD Projekt Red obviously knew, like the world was great. And I don't think anyone had ever said it. No one ever said it that was the problem. And it was kind of just like, the show essentially just was like, hey, everyone, look, this is your reminder of like, look, the world was great. And everyone's gone, holy shit, yeah, the world was really fun to be in. And like there was like realizing that like, oh, my problems were just with like the bugs. Fuck it, I'll go back and play it now.
But put it this way, I am terrible in video games for skipping cutscenes. I didn't even try to when playing Cyberpunk. I was just that enamored with everything.
Cyberpunk.
Both times.
I went back after watching the show and played it a couple times. And didn't use a fast travel point once. Like, honestly, I don't think in the whole time when it first came out and I played all the way through, it's
so unnecessary.
It's so satisfying to just like drive through the city.
It's like the fast travel system in Spider-Man. Everyone's just like, why is there even a
Yeah.
fast travel system? Why would I get on a train when I can swing? And it's like Cyberpunk. Why would I fast travel when I can just drive around this gorgeous place?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, the funny thing is, this is kind of, I worry, not worry is not the right word. It's going to be interesting when other game studios are seeing the success of this, of reinvigorating their game. So you've got like Edgerunners has completely reinvigorated essentially pulled from the death Cyberpunk. Like the game wasn't like it had its player base and the people that enjoyed it, and they was obviously still developing it. But like in popular culture, like they've pulled it from the ground and like it's got life again.
Yeah.
Leagues had Arcane, which was an amazing show. 2 animated series for games that have been done well and made people love the games more. There's going to be some games that go, we're struggling, we should make an animated show. And they're going to do it poorly. And they're going to be like, why did this not work for us? And,
What you mean, kind of like Halo did?
Yes, kind of like Halo did.
I've not seen a single good thing said about that show.
Do you know what's funny? I genuinely believe if like an anime studio had done Halo, if like rather than they did live action, they went anime.
Imagine they allowed it would have been so. Imagine Master Chief with a fucking energy sword in anime. Oh, that'd be sick.
The art style would have fit it so well, and 2, writers for anime care a lot more about source material, so they would have stayed more true to the Halo source material. But HBO's money obviously talks. But yeah, I know that they like CD Projekt Red said there's not a season 2 of Edgerunners or anything. They're not doing another season. I kind of hoped that maybe they would do like another season, different story, like different set of characters.
I think that we're not going to get another season, but they will do another show in that universe. But they aren't committed to that yet, but they want to. But they can say we're not getting another season because the other show will just be something named different anyway, so it won't be another season.
I think what they might do, because they've already confirmed there's going to be another Cyberpunk game,
which I'm so hyped for, even though it's like probably 6 years away.
Yeah. Whatever, like, it's going to be obviously set in the same city, most likely, and well, it might not be. It could be set in
another 2 cities.
Well, there's like
Night City and Day City.
Well, there's obviously like where Arasaka and all that in Japan are from, because this is US. So it's like we could end up in it. But anyway, depending on how they time jump, like they might just wait till the next game's out and do a season with do another show with the next game and do it that way.
Oh no, do a show just before the game comes out.
Yeah,
and have the events of the show lead directly into the game.
Yeah, or just in the time period between, and it's like an event in the show, you'll see the years later aftermath of that event in the game.
Yeah.
And go, hey, that's because of what happened in the show. Yeah, they might do something like that. I hope they do.
Just imagine, because obviously this show has to be set before Cyberpunk the game, because Atom Smash is alive.
Well, yeah, this one did.
Yeah. So imagine if at the beginning of Cyberpunk you hear the story about a kid who's gone cyber psycho by Kamikaze Plaza or whatever it's called.
Yeah. I mean,
just a little reference. I mean, for all I know, there might be a reference that probably lines up with that. But imagine if there was like a proper obvious reference.
I'd love if they did. Well, okay. I was gonna say I'd love if they did one like set after the game storyline. But the issue is, I guess, because there was multiple endings, it's hard to, you can't like then align it with how everyone's game ended.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
But yeah, show's amazing. Honestly, one of the best shows I think of the year.
100% without doubt. Right up there. I'm willing to bet the only people who aren't willing to give the show a go are the weirdos who look down on anything that's animated and go, oh, it can't be good.
Yeah. So, I mean, even if you're not an anime watcher, I would still go watch Edgerunners.
As someone who the only other anime they've watched is One Punch Man, it doesn't feel overly anime-y.
No, it has the
I think
anime
it hits a very
vibes.
good balance for people who wouldn't traditionally watch an anime.
Yeah. I will also say as well, my friend watched it in sub. I watched it just in dub off the rip. And
Oh, was it originally done in Japanese?
it's been done in Japanese. I think it's been done in a few languages.
Okay, I watched it just default in English.
So did I. My friend, because he watched a lot of anime, watched it in sub, and then has watched it a second time in dub, and he was like, honestly, because often people talk with anime, like one of the things is characters' tone and stuff sometimes comes off differently
I
in
think
dub.
this was written as an English script though, so it probably worked better than a normal anime would.
He was saying it was very well done, and they even have, you can tell they've spent the time with the dub of remapping like mouth movements, which often doesn't happen in anime. So then it's like, you notice like, oh, well, that didn't look like they said that word. But in this, he was like, nah, they've matched it all up. So they've put in the time with knowing that it was going to go to like a Western English speaking market, like demographic. They've put in that extra time and really put in the effort with it. Yeah, that was Edgerunners. I've been waiting so long to talk about that with you.
Mate, I'm so glad we decided to talk about it. The next thing that we've got is obviously last week it was confirmed that James Gunn is going to be the creative lead of DC for Warner Brothers going forward.
Yep.
So I thought it could be quite cool for us to discuss what a DCEU under James Gunn might look like, what we think he can do very well versus what we're more concerned about potentially.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he's inherited it in a shit state.
Yeah.
Just because no one really knows what's going on.
Definitely a fixer-upper.
So I'm going to go off the premise that when The Flash comes out, it's a soft reboot, so he can keep anything he wants and get rid of anything he wants, and there's not really anything to question.
Agreed.
So I think we can be pretty confident that anything with wacky characters, will be done very well.
Yeah, and he'll probably cover himself.
Yeah, the lesser known the character, the better James Gunn handles them. Also, fun fact for some of you out there who might not know, James Gunn has directed some of my favourite films. He's given us the Guardians of the Galaxy films. He's given us the Suicide Squad film, which was good. And he's also given us the absolutely goated Scooby-Doo films from the early 2000s.
I didn't actually know he did them.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he did both of them. James Gunn.
That's a throwback. That is a throwback and a half.
Scooby-Doo. Was it the first one or the second one he did? I think it was both. Oh, why is that not giving me who directed Scooby-Doo? Oh, wait, he wrote the Scooby-Doo films.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it appears. But still, you get my point. He's a goat who just knows what he's doing. My concern more comes in a twofold way. And these aren't concerns that I necessarily hold in the sense of genuine concerns. I think they're more concerns for how films will be received, if that makes sense. So, since the MCU started all the way back in 2008, and then you had the Nolan trilogy and stuff like that, there's been this kind of obsession with realism. And like gritty and dark, and like these words get thrown about all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, myself included to an extent, kind of want them to go and just make goofy. I don't mean goofy in the sense of just stupid, but like films that feel like comic books. And comic books are funny. they have quirky, silly, weird moments. They just do.
Yeah, they do.
And I think James Gunn can do them films very well. In fact, I know he can.
Agreed.
I don't think a lot of people in the mass market are ready to have a Batman film where he's a bit goofier. Despite the fact that it can absolutely work.
I very much could.
And I think with diehard fans, they'd be like, fuck yes. But more casual people who have the money, and I'm not saying that diehard fans are poor, I'm saying that there's more casuals.
Yeah.
They just assume Batman has to be super dark all the time.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, they're even kind of like pushing for like a dark, gritty Superman, for fuck's sake. It's like, no, Superman's supposed to be like a beacon of hope.
I think so. Here's my prediction with the whole how James Gunn's DCEU. I think, and we talked about it last week, but I do think he's gonna bring in, similar to what Kevin's now doing, where he has set directors who he knows, like Kevin knows which directors are good for what project, sort of thing. James Gunn is gonna find that for DC, and I think you're right. For the goofy stuff, like he'll take head of it on those ones because he really will nail them, and the like lesser known characters. And then I think he'll find someone who he knows he can trust to do a good superhero film and works well with like has a good working relationship with James Gunn so that they stay aligned on the overall picture. I kind of briefly touched on it. I wouldn't, like, I know we've talked about this when the Batman came out earlier this year, that it could quite easily just stay its own separate, like, Batman universe. But I wouldn't be against that being brought into the loop of the DCEU. Okay. If they did it, if they slotted it in right, that is.
I get that. I'm not sure James Gunn can make work a universe that has a Batman that dark.
Yeah, that's my like slight.
Because while obviously characters tonally can be different, they've still got to seem like they'd exist in the same fucking world.
Well, yeah, that you've got to. Yeah, we'd essentially like. Does that Gotham that we've seen in visual style and everything, is that possible for James Gunn to pull that in? That is where the like real question is, and I agree. It's a difficult thing whether he actually would.
And here's the thing: in like just the Batman trilogy, for instance, in this DCEU, it wouldn't be a problem. You wouldn't notice it. The problem would be in the crossover films.
Yeah, no,
you'd find yourself looking at Robert Pattinson's Batman going, you look odd and different, and I don't know why. And it's because tonally, it would look like someone's just been taken out of a completely different genre. And that's my concern. I do, as much as I love a lot of the casting, a lot of the stories that have been built, and a lot of the actors and everything kind of almost needs to go in the bin.
What, for the on Batman side?
Everything.
Oh, yeah.
And just kind of work from there.
Yeah, I think I essentially think what James Gunn needs to do is, like we said, Flashpoint, literally wipe everything off the board, and then go.
Do I desperately want to keep this thing? Well, yes. Okay, that can stay.
I think what he needs to do is start with nothing. No pre-thing of like, we're going to have these characters, we're going to like, what, and actually go, what is the story arc that we want to tell across all of these films, however loose we come up with this? And then you go, okay, what characters do we need for that? Like, build them out. It's like, okay, well, we've had Superman before. Do we want to use previous Superman? Henry Cavill, which obviously it seems they are going to be using Henry Cavill going forward.
And this is the problem. A big announcement like Henry Cavill coming back as Superman, James Gunn can't throw him in the bin. He can't.
I think that's part of James Gunn's decisions.
I really fucking hope it was.
I think it was. I think one of the things is like, they've obviously, there's got to have been some discussion of when they were trying to figure out who to put into this position. And I bet it was like a case of, right, James, if we gave you the reins, what would that maybe look like? And he probably went, oh, well,
I want Henry back.
Here's like a rough thing. And it all kind of starts with, I want Henry Cavill back as Superman. And then I do think that's part of his decision. And that'll be
I really hope that is the case. Because if he's the one who was like, I want Henry back, then already I'm a little bit more comfortable. Because it means the universe isn't in as bad a state for him to take over as it currently seems. Because it means he's already had a little bit of influence.
Mm-hmm. I think I genuinely believe that'll be one of his first things that he's pushed for.
I view it in quite simply. They can't scrap everything.
No.
So you kind of look at it and go, okay, what do we keep? The easiest one to keep is Black Adam.
Agreed.
And I think it is the best one to keep.
Agreed.
Because just because Henry Cavill's still Superman doesn't mean Man of Steel has to be canon. Superman just looks like that. Cool, that's fine. But the JSA is full of weird, wacky, zany characters, which I think James Gunn can make very fun for the audience, just like he did with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And JSA came before the JLA, so they can just go, the Justice League doesn't exist. Give James Gunn 5 or 6 years working with the JSA, and then when he's got stuff in the places he wants to get stuff, let him have the big boys. Let him have Wonder Woman, Batman, Flash, Cyborg, Green Lantern. Once he can like build the universe that is ready for them.
I'm on the same page. I think, especially because obviously with the post-credit scene of Black Adam, it's the easiest new starting point in a sense. Because like we both talked about last week, Black Adam actually was surprisingly done well, like above our expectations. As you say, with the JSA, like it leans into those wackier characters. We have the whole fact that we have what's she called, Amanda
Waller,
leans into that thing of the Suicide Squad connection and that ability that she's gonna have probably just a collection of wacky characters that we can just pull at any point. So I think it really does make sense that Black Adam will be in this starting point. Superman, obviously, Henry Cavill.
I also think his Suicide Squad film will still be in canon as well.
Yeah, I think it will, because it helps set up or keep that link of Amanda Waller.
Yeah.
I think we haven't seen Aquaman 2 yet, so depending on Aquaman 2, depends whether those films stay as canon. But it wouldn't surprise me, because I still think it is one of the best castings for Aquaman, is they will keep Jason Momoa as Aquaman. As long as Jason Momoa still wants to do it, that is.
Oh, sorry, are we not announcing that you've taken over as Aquaman?
I'm not Aquaman. Remember, I'm playing Hercules in the MCU. So I think as long as Jason Momoa wants to still do it, which I think he really does enjoy that character, so I'd be surprised if he didn't. He does seem
to enjoy the role.
I mean,
I guess it depends if him and James Gunn have had a conversation and they're...
Yeah, if they align on things. So I think that's a potential to still be the same. I'm kind of with you with the I love the Batman that we got this year.
I'm more than happy for Matt Reeves to be allowed to do his trilogy completely over as like what we were supposed to get, which was the Black Label film.
Well, here's my thought is, so Matt Reeves has kind of been given first touch on Batman universe stuff. That doesn't mean that every Batman thing he does has to be in that Batman universe it started.
Not at all.
So James Gunn might still like. There's a possibility, and I think this actually would be a great way to get, because Matt Reeves has a great love for the Batman side of things. I think it'd be smart if James Gunn brought him on to help envision his Batman and help with building out those characters. In like, as long as they are very visually style different, I don't think it's that confusing for a viewer to be like, oh, that's the Batman of this trilogy, Detective Batman. This is DCEU Batman. And they can very easily both... And like, maybe the DCEU Batman comes down the line after Matt Reeves' like own trilogy is done. So there is less confusion. But I would be surprised if James Gunn doesn't try and bring Matt Reeves on to help with that.
Here's the thing. While films are obviously a very different market to comic book consumers, people who consume comic books aren't going to be thrown off by whatever James Gunn does because, as we know, shit just changes on a dime all the time, and you've got to work out what still is and isn't canon.
Oh, yeah.
The big issue for James Gunn is going to be getting them very casual people, and again, I don't mean that in like a rude way towards people who are casual. It's fine to just enjoy the films. His real difficulty is going to be making it easy for them to know what they do and don't care about. Because the last thing he needs is a bunch of idiots on TikTok and that going, but this doesn't make any sense. Because what that does is it'll then get the people who understand that it's a different universe all riled up in their comments going, you're a fucking idiot. And then it just creates this idea that the community is super toxic and people don't want to engage with it at all.
He needs to be smart about sprinkling in those well-known characters to keep the casual fans happy and like, oh, this is a cool world, but not get too tied into just the Wonder Woman, Flash, Superman, Batman. Like, get stuck in those core ones again, just them, and you're just going to have a stale world. Look at how many of the OG, like, Avenger characters, really, and towards Infinity War and all that and Endgame, a lot of those characters weren't, like, the big mainstream comic book characters. Like, they were...
Iron Man was not a big character.
Yeah.
He just wasn't.
But, like...
The misconception that Iron Man's always been, like, the head of Marvel Comics is hilarious.
Well, it's...
Let me say some facts right now.
Go on.
Because of the MCU, people view Marvel's big three as Cap, Thor, and Iron Man.
Yeah.
Marvel's big three is Wolverine, Hulk, and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's it. Them three right there. They are the holy trinity for Marvel. Not Cap, not Thor, not Iron Man.
I actually think people would, from the films, would say it's Iron Man, Cap, and Spider-Man, because we've had a lot of Spider-Man films. I know they're not.
I still don't think they'd consider them as
the main three,
the holy trinity.
Fair, but yeah, no, I get what you mean. It's like that, DC needs to find that though. Find what might not isn't the comic book trinity, but the characters that are from comic book side, which James Gunn knows that on a big screen is the right viewer appeal to get people on board with that character.
I know what I'd cast my vote for. Flash, Green Lantern, Cyborg. Gimme.
Yeah. I think I'd love to see them bring Green Lantern back. And done properly.
We'll get onto that in a minute because we do have some good news on that front. But the Flash and Green Lantern are Bezzy mates. Barry Allen and Hal Jordan, that is. And Cyborg being a younger character who's only like recently in the comics joined the JLA, and is also a very unique character. I think them three could be very good building blocks because it also covers Earth-based threats, space-based threats, and then someone dealing with their own personal shit, which I think Flash gives you that kind of Iron Man Earth-based.
Mhm.
Thor is that off-world shit like Green Lantern, and then
Mhm.
Cap is a man out of time dealing with like trying to adjust to his new life, just like Cyborg is. I'm not saying that DC needs to copy the MCU before people get
No.
angry at me, but then them 3 different stories have you covered on all bases so that someone has someone to relate to.
Yeah, and if they still have Henry Cavill as Superman, like you've still got that very standard DC Superman's there.
Yeah.
So I agree. That's good. That would be a good kind of starting block to build around.
I'm very excited to see what he does. I do have some
It's
healthy concern.
well, yeah. It's like DC's in a state. We don't know what. You've got to pull away before you can build, and you don't know what's going to come from all that. Like,
yeah.
It's going to be a mess. It's going to be more of a shell before it starts getting better.
You don't paint your walls without stripping off the wallpaper.
No. So.
But that brings us on to our Nerd News Network segment.
Yes.
You know what you need to do, Harry?
Come up with a jingle.
You need to create a little like, animation and then change the scene so it makes it look like we're sitting behind desks. Breaking news. So you said about you want the Green Lantern done right, and I completely fucking agree because the Green Lantern is a goated character with so much stuff there. So we knew there was a show being worked on. Yeah. And that kind of disappeared, but we told it was still being worked on, but they've going like kind of quiet on it because they want to get it done right.
Yeah.
We've had an update on that. So they have confirmed that in the Green Lantern show, they are changing their main character.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're changing their main characters, which was going to be Alan Scott and Guy Gardner, to Jon Stewart.
Right.
I like that change personally. Jon Stewart is very, very good. Alan Scott and Guy Gardner would have been very interesting to see in live action, I think. But I definitely think Jon Stewart would align better with stuff that we already have going on in the DCEU.
Right.
So if James Gunn's not literally wiping everything clean, and he's going to pick and choose bits, I think if we would say he just takes the Suicide Squad and Black Adam, for instance, I think Jon Stewart can fit in alongside that relatively well.
Okay.
But it's at least good news that the Green Lantern show is progressing.
Yes.
Next is time for me to have a little moan. There have been so many Reed Richard casting rumours and rumours and fan casts and all this shit. I shit you not. I can't remember what day it was, but I literally didn't even bother trying to write it down that day. I've gone back and tried to find a fair bit of it today. I shit you not, within an hour scrolling on Twitter, I saw 15 different actors linked to the role. Via semi-trustable news sources, legitimate news sources, and fan casts. This casting of Reed Richards, literally, people seem to care about it more than who's running their fucking country. And I'm saying that as someone who has a podcast about this shit.
Do you know what's funny is like this isn't even the first time we've talked about Reed Richards rumors.
What I mean? And don't get me wrong, some of these names I've doubled up on, but these seem to be the ones that I've seen the more reasonable outlets covering the chances of.
Yeah. It's funny because you've put a point on our notes where it's like, this is 20% fandom running wild and 80% Disney covering. And I genuinely do think it's maybe not necessarily even like Disney covering, but it's Disney's quite clearly doing a very good job of keeping whoever the cast is locked the fuck down.
And I think there is some PR people running interference here just to fuck with news sources.
Definitely a little bit. And then I think it's like the credible news sources. Obviously, the thing with news is everyone wants to be the first to break a story. So I think a lot of it is these news, like the credible ones are trying to throw out these predictions so that down the line they can go, see, we were right. We were predicting it months ago.
And that is because of the fucking fandom and all their shitty fan cards. I say shitty, a lot of them are actually quite good, but everyone's going, oh, I think it should be this or this or this. News outlets have noticed that and gone, this has a lot of attention.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of, because there's this anticipation building for finding out who the Fantastic Four are, and it's been, the film was talked about fucking ages ago that we were going to be getting a new Fantastic Four film. We've got even more news of like it's going into production in January. Like it's getting closer to like actually being a thing that people more and more wanting to find out who's playing the roles. So because there's a lot of fan talk about it, as you say, these publisher or these news people are like, attention, we should get in on this attention. Let's just start checking out our own rumors, and they don't have to click. They're never going to tell you their source, so it's probably nothing. It's probably a guy in the office who's sat there going, oh, well, I quite like Adam Driver to be Reed Richards. Boom, send out there. Gets people talking about my personal prediction that I've just put under the banner of, and Disney's all not going to deny any of them, not going to accept any of them.
By denying it, you're half confirming someone else. So it's just, you just got to not acknowledge them. So, I think Kevin should come on the podcast or send the actor on the podcast and announce who's playing Reed Richards via the podcast.
I think we should have
invite Kevin.
I think we should have Kevin, because then we can ask more questions than just Fantastic Four.
And also not risk getting the actor murdered for accidentally leaking something. Good questions. Good point. But these are the front runners based on what I can see from more credible outlets who I'd be inclined to trust a little bit more.
Yes.
Diego Luna is the more recent, like, has popped out of nowhere, who obviously plays Cassian Andor in Andor and Rogue One.
I feel that's just Andor hype.
That is going to be a fair bit of Andor hype. He doesn't... Looking at him, he kind of fits like the mental image of Reed Richards enough that people don't dislike it. He's a very talented actor and he has relationships with Disney. I can see how a story like that could gain traction. But the guy was probably just chilling about Disney HQ for something else on the day other actors were seen coming and going, and they were like, he was auditioning for Reed Richards.
I definitely think this is someone that's gone, already got good relationships with Disney. He's in Andor. Also, that means he'd have good relationships with Marvel. But then if you think about it, Andor's got a fuck more seasons to go. He's going to be far too busy doing that to be starting production on Fantastic Four in January. So I think it's safe to assume that's not going to be on the cards.
The Fantastic Four, once they launch, are going to be a very big part of the MCU for a very long time. They do not need someone who's tied up with another character.
No.
Next up is someone that we've already seen on the big screen, John Krasinski. A lot of people are just going, do they just hold on to Krasinski? As each day passes, I grow less and less convinced that they will just keep Krasinski. I think we get a different one. I think they gave the fans their fan cast as the cameo in Multiverse of Madness, and I think they now want to go out and find their guy.
Yeah. I guess it comes down to how much they want to play into the multiverse thing. Sort of like they've positioned themselves very well that if they don't end up wanting to use him, it's fine. He was in a different universe. But if they do decide they want to use him, then it also works. Like they were smart about, we can do the fan service, and it actually positioned us in a very easy way to not back ourselves into a corner to have to use him.
Exactly. Next up, Adam Driver. Now, this is a really interesting one.
Yeah.
Because he has been connected to both Reed Richards and Doctor Doom. So what that tells me is he was at Disney HQ interviewing, test screening for a role, but no one has a fucking clue what it was.
Yeah. I mean, I could see him.
I love Adam Driver.
Yeah,
Don't like
so
him for either of them roles.
the thing is, it's like he could very much just be there just for figuring out where he might fit into, like, interest in being in the MCU sort of thing. And just these are
I
big
could
roles
see
that have...
him as a mutant character.
Mm,
That I could back. I don't know who, but I could back that.
yeah.
The next one, one that I hadn't considered, but I very much like, but I also think it's the least likely out of all of these. William Jackson Harper, who played Chidi in The Good Place on Netflix, absolutely goated comedy show if you have not watched it. Hori definitely hasn't.
No.
You should go watch it. It's very, very good. Very good actor. I enjoy him a lot. He could definitely do the role very well. He has already been cast in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Mm-hmm.
So some people, I think this is very much run by the fandom here. People have gone, oh, maybe he's going to be Reed.
On
But
cameo.
based on the character description, it sounds like whoever he's playing is kind of like a rebellion leader against Kang.
Okay.
I don't think that's going to be Reed.
No, I don't. Unless they're really trying to throw us off.
What I will say is I hope whoever he is playing is a long-term character and not a one-film wonder, because I love this actor and I don't want him to be wasted for one film in the MCU.
Yeah.
And this brings us on to my front runner and I'm gonna say it, my final prediction.
Oh.
For who is going to be Mr. Fantastic / Reed Richards in the MCU, Penn Badgley. He plays the main character in the Netflix show You.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a couple of reasons as to why I think he is our guy. Right, look, young enough that you can hold on to him for a while. And You has already finished filming its next season, or is wrapping up filming its next season, which could well be the last season.
Mm-hmm.
Which would then free him up completely for an extended period of time.
Yes, it would.
And as I said, with me growing less convinced of Krasinski, Adam Driver, I think, like you said, was probably just there to see where he could fit in the MCU.
Yeah.
Diego Luna, like we know, he's going to be far too busy, I think, to commit to such an important role. William Jackson Harper, already cast as a role in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I don't think that's where we get introduced to Reed Richards in the MCU. No. So it's either, as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be Penn Badgley or someone that we haven't even heard of yet.
Yeah. I think...
And I don't mean heard of as in like an actor who like has come out of nowhere, although that would be fantastic. But someone like, if it's not any of these guys, Disney have thrown all these names out to throw us all off.
Yeah. I think...
And they nailed it.
My prediction... I do like the Penn Badgley. I would say my two runners would be John Krasinski and Penn Badgley, leaning towards Penn Badgley. I still think there's a slight chance they do stick with John Krasinski, because he is like somewhat of a fan favorite and to be in that role. For a long time he was, and he got his fan service to play it. So, but I do think that would be the easy choice for them to just go, well, we'll just stick with John Krasinski. I would lean more towards Penn Badgley. I think like he visually fits well into the role. As you say, like he's going to be free soon. Positioned quite well to be like tie himself into the MCU. Yeah. Oh yeah, maybe there's like a very slight chance that maybe someone completely out the blue that this was all smoke and mirrors comes out and completely throws us off. But maybe they just pick some random background character from some of the earlier MCU films and go, actually, he was here all along, and she's that.
That would infuriate me in such an aggressive way.
Oh, it'd be great though. It'd be funny.
But on to some certified 100% happening casting rumors.
Oh.
So I guess not rumors, castings.
Castings.
Forgive me if I get this wrong. Yahya Abdul Mateen has been cast as Wonder Man in the Wonder Man Disney Plus show.
Okay.
Wonder Man's a bit of an obscure character. I plan on doing a character profile on next week, but we have our guy. I don't know a lot about this actor. In fact, let me Google and see if anything that I recognise.
I can't even say I know much about Wonder Man, so.
Yeah, Wonder Man's a very, very obscure character. Oh, it's the actor who played Black Manta in the Aquaman films.
Oh, him. I know him.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was good. He's also been in the Watchmen TV show. He was in Candyman. He was in the latest Matrix film.
Okay.
He was in Us. Okay, this he's got some very well received stuff under his belt here. Okay, I'm down. We will. I will discuss Wonder Man. I'll do a character profile for him for next week, so you guys understand what we got coming. All you need to know is it's probably going to have something to do with Wanda. So there you go. Your Scarlet Witch is going to be bopping about at some point soon.
Ooh.
Aubrey Plaza, who was part of Parks and Recreation alongside Chris Pratt, has been cast as the antagonist in the Agatha Coven of Chaos TV show.
Showdown.
I'm about it.
Yeah, same. Honestly.
Good actress. She has good relationships with a lot of the actors already in the MCU.
Yeah.
Like Lizzie Olsen and her did something together. Obviously, she did Parks and Recreation with Chris Pratt.
Yep. Yeah.
At this point, every actor's going to be in the MCU at some point.
Yeah, and honestly, it's a smart move. So.
Yeah, I think with the right right script and right director, she could do very good. The Russo Brothers have confirmed they are not going to be ready to return to direct any MCU films until at least the next decade.
Yes.
Now, I'm really curious as to what they mean by ready to return. As in, they've got loads of films already planned that they want to do, so they don't have the time for it. Or if the style of films they had to make for Marvel is so different to what they are passionate about doing that they need a bit more time away from it because of how full on it is.
I think they're meaning they're not even MCU returning to the MCU or even considering projects is not even it's gonna be a decade before they even think about what projects they might come back and it's them saying we've got so many projects that we're more passionate about and wanting to work on.
Us till 2030.
Basically being we're not going back to, we have no plan or interest in going back to MCU to do anything with them for at least the next decade, till the end of the decade. They obviously have set projects they're working on and want to do, and until they're done, which probably is end of the decade, they won't even be thinking about a return. I don't think there's anything they have set plans or ideas that they want to do with the MCU. I think they'll wait. We're not going to see him for a bit. That's fine.
Yeah. And then my favourite bit of news this week, which I hadn't seen, but I stumbled across while making sure I had all the news. Keke Palmer. Now this might have just been for Halloween, but she kind of alluded to an interest in playing Rogue in the MCU.
Oh.
The post was on October 31st on Twitter, so it may well have just been that it was a Halloween costume.
Right.
That being said, if you look at the tweet, which I'll send you now,
Oh.
there's like a proper photo shoot she's done in these outfits. So it might have been a little bit of both. I'll dress up as this is Halloween, but hey, yo, Kevin, hit me up. And I'm going to be honest with you, she looks good in like the vibe, and I back it. I back it so much.
I think this is definitely typical Americans love to, like, especially celebrities that love doing stuff for Halloween. Definitely think this is just like a great idea for a Halloween outfit. Gonna do like a proper little photo shoot thing. Put it on Twitter. Knows it's gonna hit and get traction, and people are gonna talk about it like fucking crazy. And she obviously likes the character Rogue and would probably more than happily would love to play Rogue. So
I
it's
think
kind
it's
of
one of the things where she's just gone to bat for herself a little bit.
yeah, exactly, 100%. I think it's just like she wanted to do this for Halloween. She thought, you know what? Also a good way to kind of just, you never know, maybe something will come from it, sort of thing.
Worst case scenario, Kevin sends me a DM and go, no thanks.
Yeah. Or
best
worst
case scenario, Kevin sees the mock-up and goes, holy shit, get her in for a meeting right now.
Yeah. Or like straight to Ryder's room. We need to find a place for Rogue to be slotted in.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just an interesting one to keep an eye on. I would be so down for Keke Palmer to be the MCU's Rogue. I think she's a very talented actress. I think she would nail the vibe.
Yeah. No, I'm
willing to let it run. I'm willing to let it run.
It's one of those we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. But that is it for the Nerd News Network this week.
Yeah. Lots of
and it brings
casting.
us on to our superhero showdown.
Yes, it does.
Which is one I'm very excited for. Juggernaut versus Rhino.
Yep.
There's supposed to be an advantage for Rhino. So what we're going to do is just assume he's in whatever his toughest form is, because that's the only easy way to do this. Spider-Man. One day I'll be proper ready for this shit.
Well, yeah, usually we do actually discuss this before, but we forgot, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Alexi, how can I make you better? Oh, that's the game wiki, not the Marvel wiki. There we go. Weaknesses. His weakness is once charging, he cannot change direction easily or halt his advance. The Rhino also possesses below average intelligence. So we're just going to say he has an average IQ this time.
Okay.
So he's not as in thick. There we go. Just going to double check to make sure there isn't because like there's some very powerful versions of the Juggernaut. Some very. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, there's no easy way to just nerf the Juggernaut. So we're just gonna say the Rhino is not a complete fucking dumbass.
Bit smarter than them.
Yeah. So they both very much do the same thing. They are big and freaks of nature who are strong, fast, and run at stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm almost certain there is probably jokey comics out there when a mutant has had to fight the Rhino and assumed he was the Juggernaut, and Spider-Man having to fight the Juggernaut assuming he was the Rhino. It's almost certainly happened at some point.
There's definitely some comic where Spider-Man's like, here's something like, oh, someone smashed through a whole fucking building last night. He's like, oh, Rhino's back. Rocks up. No, it's Juggernaut.
Yeah, exactly. Because that also paves the way for a brilliant team up with Wolverine or something, which is always fun.
Yeah.
But who do we think wins? I lean towards Juggernaut. I think I do as well because of the gem that gives him his power being so fucking powerful.
And it's like
but I don't think it's easy. Rhino is so tough and just like so bullish, ironically, in his approach of just not giving up.
Yeah.
I don't think the Rhino can crack the helmet the Juggernaut wears. That's my problem. I don't think he can crack that.
Yeah, I think the gem is just gonna be too much for Rhino to break. Like Rhino is durable, strong, whatever, but Jug has all that and the extra like durability he gets from
the armor that's fused with him, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, let's be honest, this fight is going to essentially be they're going to both full charge at each other, and
I see it going one of two ways: either Juggernaut wins, or they both just kind of collapse of exhaustion. I just don't see a world where Rhino outright wins. I don't think.
I honestly, I think it's pretty like almost every scenario would be Juggernaut. The way I see it is like they're gonna charge at each other full fucking force, and Juggernaut's gem is gonna be that extra bit that like it's just gonna basically like they're gonna smack into each other. Rhino's gonna get fucking floored.
Yeah.
And then Juggernaut's just gonna overpower him.
Yeah. I'm inclined to agree. Definitely not an easy fight for Juggernaut.
No.
But I think Juggernaut is kind of like a slightly stronger character of the same style as Rhino.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that he would be the winner.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah, as much as it sucks, I just think that is the way of the road, so to speak. Is there any way we can make him the winner? I don't think there is.
Unless there's a situation where Rhino manages to like break the gem or whatever and break that shield, extra like magical energy or whatever he has, then
I just don't think he can.
No. So
especially when like our buff for him was instead of being below average intelligence, he's averagely intelligent. I don't think he'd even be able to work out what he should do.
I think that if anything, that just gives him a bit of can pick up on how Juggernaut's fighting to like fight back a little bit. But it's gonna be like two fucking units just wailing on each other, and I think unfortunately it's just
unstoppable force meets unstoppable force.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately Rhino's gonna crack before it'll go on to the point where like just Rhino can't just get worn down.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
At that point, Juggernaut just fucking rip him apart.
The W goes to Juggernaut. He moves on.
He is the king of smashing walls.
He is the king of smashing walls. Actually, one sec. Sorry, the Kool-Aid guy.
Okay. Is the Kool-Aid guy not just Juggernaut? They're the same color.
Well, it depends. Is the Kool-Aid guy the jug or the juice?
The juice.
An advert actually made
can we
it
talk about how
he's just a glass jar.
Well, yeah. Can we talk about how strong that glass jar is?
Oh, it's outrageously strong.
Anyway.
Going off track so quickly after the Super Showdown. It's outrageous. But that is about it from us this week. Next week we will have next episode of Andor.
Yes.
There'll be final thoughts on Black Panther, which will be very, very exciting.
Very pog. Much wow. Much exciting.
Yeah. We will probably do more things like the James Gunn conversation, which are a bit more conceptual because we're in I wouldn't say a lull period, but a slightly quieter time compared to the last kind of 3 months.
Yeah, it's not as chaotic with like 4 shows going on at once, sort of thing.
So there's more time for us to have discussions. But yeah,
and rumors and stuff are picking up, and news is picking up a little bit at the moment. So
when there's nothing to keep people busy, they tend to make shit up more. And as long as something can't be inherently disproved, made up shit is a rumor worth discussing.
Exactly.
But thank you for hanging out. Let us know if you want to hear more of, like, the Edgerunner shows, like shows that we've both watched and really enjoyed and want to talk about. Let us know if you'd be really, really desperate for us to cover Doctor Who once it restarts again next year or whenever it is. I think it's late 2023.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you very much as always. Don't forget to like and subscribe and give us a rating on the audio platform you're listening on. Make sure you're following us on the audio platform so you don't miss any more episodes in the future.
Appreciate you all.
Yeah, thank you all very much and have a lovely weekend.
We'll see you next week.